Okay, so I got the Martin back in on the table, and what we're going to do now is we're going to start the design process. So what I did figured up on what I was going to do the design is more like a kind of like I call it barnwood wood planks, just like you would see in like my flooring. Or I actually have a guitar over here on the wall that I did. It come in with a broke neck, and so I went ahead and fixed the broke neck. They gave it to me. They said it's going to cost way too much, and they just didn't want to mess with it. And they just brought it to me and said, "Here, I know you fix stuff. Here you go. Try and fix that. You can have it." So that's what I did. I fixed it and went ahead and did some art on it because that's what I do. And so it's just hanging on the wall back here. But it's I did several different ones. I did some like whiskey barrel designs and different things. So I figure we'll do some kind of rustic plank wood design on this. So basically, to do that, need a straight edge. Whether or not it's going to be straight, because I'm probably go more of a rustic look. But at least it gives you the lines. You can go ahead and draw everything out. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so what I normally like to do is, since I have this burning here, I want to leave this more of a lighter plank. So I have to decide how wide of a plank, how many planks I'm going to have in here. You can have smaller ones, larger ones, and on this guitar, for it to look good, you don't want them too wide, because you'll only get like maybe 3 or 4 different planks on there, and it doesn't really stand out as much. So we're going to go with something smaller. So what I want to do is I want to measure about how wide I want this, and I want this centered on the plank itself. So I'm going to set that at a 1/4 inch, and I'll come up another 1/4 inch. So that's roughly 3 inches. So with a 3-inch wood plank, so I'll probably come up and I'll probably stop the plank somewhere in here. So basically we'll have a plank here, and then I'll just follow that on, but also have this logo down here, this EGA. So what I want to do is get this larger one. So I want it to be parallel to the neck. So what I'll do is I'll come up, and you can see the difference here. If I want this to be lighter, I'm going to have a problem, because now see how far the plank of wood has to be in order to catch this where this is lighter. So if I bring it down here, see your wood plank, you're going to have a line that goes right through that. So it's not going to look good for this. So that's why you have to go through and kind of figure everything out. So if I have this up here, that means I'd have to have the plank of wood back here. So if I do that, to make it symmetrical, I'd have to, basically this whole thing would be one solid plank. Well, the only problem with that is, now you're talking, it's going to be a pretty wide plank. If you go to 4 inches, you could do that. It's roughly right in there. It'll work. You'll still catch this. So you can put a plank here and it'd start a new one. But that's a pretty wide plank for this smaller guitar. But I'll show you something. Okay, so this is what I was going to show you. So this is the other guitar I was telling you about. So where I said the 4-inch was going to is a little wide. If I measure this one, they're 4 inches wide. So this, basically, these planks, this is what that one would be like. Now this one was all done the same color. I didn't change any of the stain, and everything is all the same. So that's pretty much what this other Martin would be like. So it's not really a bad deal. The smaller you go, the more diversity it is. But I am wanting all this to be pretty much be standing out, basically, because some of the lettering wouldn't stand out as much if it was this dark. So there, I want some of the planks darker, but I want some of the planks a little bit lighter. So I'll have to go through there, and we don't have to actually have all the planks have to be the same width. It just looks a little bit more uniform. But I'll show you this door that I did here in the shop, and then it has actually different size widths on it. So this is the bathroom door. It was just a plain door, and I just didn't like the look of it in my custom shop here. So I went and got on Amazon, and I got basically, I know it don't look like it. This is wallpaper. So I bought some just some decorative handles. Made it look like some kind of hinge door or something. These are just they just bolt on here, so it's not part of the hinge, but everything's painted. Everything's so it kind of looks more like just a gate door, but everything works. Everything's shop's not even finished here, but basically this is the inside of the door. So it looks like this is actual thick door. This is a light door. But anyway, so this is what I was talking about. So this is only about 2.5 the width wise on these planks, where these are more like 4-inch. This is more like 3.5. So they're all different thickness on the wood, and it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, I don't know how much I want to get. I don't want to get too crazy with it, but I just wanted to show you that. So it doesn't really matter. They don't have to be symmetrical. Okay, so now I'm back. So now that you got to see my dirty shop here, unarranged, cluttered. So I can go with a 4-inch on this one and drop it down to some smaller. When I get up here though, I have the same issue. I had to figure out what size this is going to be to where it's straight, because it has to catch all of it. So if I do a 1/4 inch, get that leveled out, and then so this is the highest point this way. So what I want to do is go a 1/4 inch above that, and I'm going to take my measurement here, and it looks like 3-inch. So what I can do is I can do a 3-inch plank here, and if I do a 4-inch there, then all I got to do is I can come up with different measurements for a couple of different boards there, and then from here I'll just leave it as a board. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go ahead and mark where this is. Makes it really hard because you have to have a starting line, and everything has to be off that line. So I'll go ahead and get a center for the whole guitar itself. And that is my center. Kind of hard to see, but that's what you want. You don't want everyone else to see how you designed it. So then you'll go off of that on either way. So let me get back to this one. So off that center line, it's going to be 3 9/16. So make sure this is 3 9/16. And it is a little off, so I'll hold it here, pull it up there. Now I know that line is right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a mark on here, and it needs to be where we can see it. Just don't be afraid. We're gonna burn it anyway, so it don't matter if everyone can see it. So now I've established that's going to be where my plank is. So I don't think there's going to be enough room here. Yeah, there'll be a little bit. So from that up to that line is 3/4. So if I put 3/4, that's going to be the line. So it's kind of going to be hard to get that to where it's actually lined up right. It's going to be such a small area. I think we can just eyeball it and get it close enough. Okay, so then I'll probably want to put my let's see, where do I want? How about right through? I might want to put it right in through here. And that's where I'm going to have probably some nail holes. It'll look better if it's out here. Technically, you don't have to have everything in it for it to be correct. You'd want that's where a stud would be, like through here. So you'd want all the nail holes. But with this bridge being here, it's kind of hard to see it. So, and I don't want to put that right through there, you know. So, you know, I could have one back here. I could have one started. That way we have nail holes. But technically it doesn't really matter. Someone wants to dissect it that much, they're probably only going to look at it for a few seconds. They're not even going to worry about, you know, thinking about there's a stud and how if it looks correct. It's just for decoration. It's just something different. So basically, you know, I could run it there. I could run another one over here, you know. Basically like you're just nailed it on something. Yeah. So it's not really that important. So anyway, that's how I'm going to go about this. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this laid out and I'll bring you back. Okay, so now that I've got some lines kind of figured out how I'm wanting to do them this way, now I want to figure out on the ends of the plank. So I was thinking, I started to go across here to where it would be like stud would be, but I think I want it more random. So I think I am going to go ahead and move this, and we'll get the old eraser out, just like in preschool and kindergarten. Try not to eat the eraser. So I'm gonna leave this joint here because it'll kind of out in the open here. And on this one, I think somewhere in here, I'm gonna go ahead and add one. I think it would look good having it somewhere in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and it's gonna be where one's gonna be. This one should be fine where it's at. May or may not be just a little bit crooked. But rustic stuff's not supposed to be perfectly So these are just for reference anyway. So it's kind of where I'm going to freehand a lot of this burning. So then I go back here. I'm like, well, where would be a good spot? Somewhere back here. So I'll go ahead and throw one in somewheres. This is a good area right there. And then I got this joint here. So we'll come back over here and let's split the difference. Like I said, this is rustic. We don't care. We really don't care. So that's probably going to be it, because it's going to be longer planks. I'm not going to try and do 500 little things. If they were smaller, you might get by with it, but I'm pretty sure just having these is going to be plenty. The more ends of the wood that you have, the better it looks, because that's where you really get your detail, and it's so easy to do. And so when I get to that, I'm going to show you just how easy it's going to be, and you possibly going to want to get into wood burning, and that's great. That's what it's all about, having fun. It's very relaxing, relieves stress. So I'm pretty sure, I think that's pretty much it. So now that we have it kind of laid out, so what we want to do is you want to put nail holes. So again, it's rustic, so you don't have to worry about it. Like, you don't have to have the nail like centered and perfect. You know, just it's just something so you can kind of, you know, they don't need to be all the same. It's just supposed to be something kind of close. Because what you'll end up doing is making little cracks on the end to make the more kind of weathered and cracks that you add in, it looks more realistic. So basically, just go around and throw in some nail holes, and you just randomly throw them in. And again, you don't want them like perfectly, because then it looks too fake. You don't want it to look super fake, even though it's about as fake as you can get. Okay, so that is basically it. So now what you want to do is basically you're going to go ahead and prep it to start wood burning. And then I'm going to show you the machine that I use, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so this is the manual wood burning that I do. This right here is just a cheap eBay model here. So I've had this for a while. I started out with just the regular little $10 wood burner kit, and it works fine. The only thing with those is temperature. You know, sometimes you had to sit and wait for it to heat up, and then when it heated up, if you're doing a lot of burning, it cools itself off, and then the wand gets real hot, which they get hot on about anything. But so what I like about this model is it has adjustable, so you can really turn the wattage up. I believe this one here is maybe 100 watt, or it's probably a 50 watt model. But anyway, so this one, get your power on, and it has a little meter here that'll tell you the wattage. But as you notice, when I turned it on, you'll watch the meter in the back, and you wait for it to come up. There it goes. So it'll get hot pretty. I mean, you wouldn't want to touch that right now. But what I like about this is I can instantly put some heat to it, and it will get glowing red. I mean, you can you can get it as hot as you want, and you don't have to wait for it to heat up. If you want it hot, it'll get hot like real quick. So that's the difference between one of these cheaper eBay models and just the regular handheld. Looks like a soldering iron. This is, see, it's already cool enough it won't even burn wood now. So I really like that. But what I was going to show you just real quickly is, I don't need to draw it out. We're just going to do it by hand. So let me get you in a little bit closer. So as far as like making the planks, you know, it'll just be line. So when we do these planks, it's a little, this thing's definitely a little warm. So that's our little, where our planks are going to be. And then basically, you know, you can just put a couple little nail holes in. Some of the bigger ones, you go ahead and throw extra ones in. So, and then, you know, you put a little knot in it, whatever. And basically it's just the grain goes around the knots. You know, if you got a knot, you just run the grain around it. And I mean, this is, believe it or not, it's so simple. You just run it. You want to run the grain with the board. You just run it through. Maybe let's throw a little knot right here. And you just, and then you go through here and just kind of make like a little, maybe a little here. Let's make this little crack go through a little bit. And how about let's put a knot right here. And another little knot right there, just kind of a little happy knot. You know, you don't want to sit there and make long lines, you know, just make little short lines. You know, this grain's not perfect in wood. So as you can see, you're just making it look like rustic boards stuck together. So easy. You know, you'd be surprised. Get you a little cheap little, I think Walmart sells them for like $12. They're just look like little soldering irons. But, you know, go ahead and it doesn't hurt to try different things. It's very relaxing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start on that outline of the boards themselves. And there's still a little bit of sanding that needs to be done in some of these areas. And I'm not sure if I'm going to sand or if I'm going to scrape. Now, what I mean by scrape is you can get a sharp knife. And what you do, let me grab one of my favorite. So scraping is when you run it with like 90 degrees from what you're doing and you scrape. And you actually can actually clean stuff with it, or basically you can take the finish off, and it doesn't. It's actually, scraping is actually smoother than sanding. So a lot of times when you're doing violin work, you use a lot of scrapers because there's places you don't really want to sand, so you scrape, and you can get a real smooth finish if you know what you're doing, and you keep everything sharp. So I might still end up having to go in some places in here, and do a little scraping to get some of the finish off. But I can go ahead and outline everything, and we'll get back at it. Okay, we'll get this process started. I'll show you some of it, and we'll just have to skip around because the way the camera angle is probably not gonna. It's probably gonna be too hard for me to do what I need to do. We'll get this about the right heat setting, and then we can take off. Oh yeah, that's about right. Now, since this now you don't have to worry too much. I mean, of course you don't want to burn through the whole guitar, but on these edges, you want it to be you don't want it to be perfect. So that's why I like to start out with some of this, kind of get warmed up to it. One suggestion I can give you if you get into wood burning: don't try and grip the pen too hard, because your hand will start hurting. You spend hours, that's usually what it takes for me when I start a project like this. It's hours and hours of gripping that pen because you're trying to be real steady with it, and it's real hard to not grip the pen real hard, but it'll give you a carpal tunnel like bad. So just keep that in mind. Just kind of just lightly grab it. I mean, you don't want it to be too loose in your hand, but and this is a live edge, so I am going to wrap the edge where it does look like it's not just on the very top. So as you can see, we can kind of go off. Now this, you can kind of, you don't have to be, you're just basically following the line, but you don't have to worry about, I even turn my pen like a little crooked. Instead of turn it this way where it's in a line, I'll turn it where you're actually kind of crossing it, and then I'll do that. That way it makes it wider, and then I just kind of move around a little bit, and it makes the edge kind of rough, because this is two different pieces of wood, so they're not going to be perfectly together. So you want it kind of a little bit different. So then usually on the edges, like I might come in just a little bit, just a little crack. Here's a nail. We'll go ahead and throw a nail on there. Here's a nail. Let's go ahead and throw the nail. And these aren't going to be perfectly round, because I don't, and some of them, like you'll have that, and you'll have like a little, just like a little crack that comes out of them. Perfectly fine, because that's the way. If you've ever looked at like old barns and stuff, they just have like little cracks and stuff just from the weather. So then we come in here. Let's just go ahead and throw a little crack right in there. Just every now and then, just have something that's coming off. Don't make them too don't make them all even. Just go somewhere, just throw you a little crack. See how simple that is? Just every now and then, just put something in there, and that just gives it like a little bit of, it just looks real. So I think you get the idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up and knock this out real quick. Okay, so we'll get back to doing a little bit of burning here. Get my wattage set where I want it. And so basically, you're going to go through and just randomly start putting some grain on there. Now, don't worry about, oh, I don't know, everything's got to look perfect. It's not. Don't worry about if it's perfect. Just remember your grain is going with the board. And if there's any imperfections in the guitar, anything, that's the best time to hide it. You know, a lot of the customers that I get, they want me to basically cover up stuff that's on a guitar already. So they bring me their used guitars. The first guitar that I did wood plank on was a Songbird guitar, and what happened was they got this guitar and it had stickers on it. It had some skull and crossbones and a bunch of different weird stickers on it. Well, the deal with wood, it's always breathing basically. So when you put a sticker on a guitar, when you take that, when you take that sticker off, you're going to see the outline of that sticker, because what it does, the sticker blocks the pores that that's just natural, people that smoke, the wood in their house is going to start turn darker. And what it is that wood is also gathering the same smoke that is in the air. So same thing with a guitar, with the humidity and everything's humid, it's dry. It's humid, it's dry. So there's constant temperature. Well, what's happening is all this is basically like the wood's breathing. So the environment that the guitar is in is going to it's basically going to absorb the environment.